There were some alliterations in there now. It happens very rarely, but sometimes characters go overboard.
A vendetta, held as a votive, not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this vichyssoise of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
Are you like a crazy person?
So let this not be an invitation to you all to write alliterations into your screenplays, because your characters will sound like crazy people. Also, because Robert McKee says you shouldn't.
Read your dialogue aloud to avoid tongue twisters or accidental rhymes and alliterations, such as, "they're moving their car over there." Never write anything that calls attention to itself as dialogue. Anything that jumps off the page and shouts, "Oh, what a clever line am I." The moment you think you've written a particularly brilliant and memorable line of dialogue that film lovers will quote with affection for decades to come, cut it.
There you hear it. So if you were trying to write that forever memorable quote, forget about it. Sometimes you do want to do it. Sometimes it just happens. And I think most well-known quotes just happened. It's hard to predict when you're writing something that will be remembered. Let's have a look at a few of the best-known quotes, and then we'll study them in a few aspects and see what are some of the qualities that come back in each of those quotes.
Look, it may take a while. If you want to wait, there's a bench over there.
I'll be back.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
E.T. phone home. Home. Phone home. Phone home.
Does this mean they're coming?
Build it. He will come.
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem. Now, who knows what that means?
Carpe diem. That's seize the day.
Very good, Mr.
Meeks.
Meeks. Another unusual name. Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may.
Hey, Luke. May the force be with you. What are you looking at?
All right, you recognize all those quotes, I would imagine. I hope you've seen all the films. Many quotes don't really have a lot of depth in themselves. There could be any line the character speaks. The reason they work is they're spoken at a time of extreme tension. Leo is the king of the world at that particular time in the story, right? And you can say, yeah, every line of dialogue comes from character. Every line a character ever speaks, as I said, from the Shakespeare experiment, you should be able to identify the character. Hasta la vista, baby. I mean, from the same movie. What does that mean? It doesn't really have any depth. It's often spoken by other characters, but when it's spoken in this moment of heightened tension or emotion, I mean, E.T. phone home. Elliot is the main character in that film, right? The length of these quotes is important. They're all short. They are spoken at times of high tension, and the rhythm is important as well. So Rosebud is one. I'll be back. You heard that. Carpe diem. ET phone home. You talking to me from Taxi Driver? Show me the money. King of the world. May the force be with you. Here's looking at you, kid. I'll have what she's having. If you build it, he will come. Houston, we have a problem. And the last one is an example of something that's being used in pretty much any situation where people are having trouble these days. But Lee, I grant it, some of these are absolutely a reflection of the character, and some of them are the reflection of the deepest want of the character. Carpe diem, definitely up there, Rosebud and E.T. phone home. In terms of how they're executed on the page, I think the brevity is part of it. Here we're looking at the accents, the meter. They have a very simple meter. They're very speakable. So if you look at this, Rosebud, both accented. I'll be back, 3 times accent. Carpe diem, pom 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 pom. So E.T. phone home, all accented. You're talking to me, that's that. We're going close to the iambic meter. That is ta-dum, ta-da-dum. Show me the money, focus on the first. And then both I'm king of the world and may the force be with you have this bada-bum, bada-bum. Really easy to speak. Here's looking at you, kid. I'll have what she's having. If you build it, he will come. Again, iambic rhythm. Houston, we have a problem. So very short with a very clear, simple rhythmic structure. So if you were to look at the qualities of quotes, there is conspicuous concision. There's tremendous tension when they're spoken. They have a memorable meter, and they're simply short. Some of those, the most memorable quotes, they come from the character. I mean, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Another great example. Sometimes quotes are not just quoted by the fans, they're quoted by other screen dramas, and this is another example.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Hamlin, and I won't have it!
Do you want me to call security?
It's okay, Brenda. We got it.
So another example of where the character is considered crazy. Interesting about this is it's the lead-in to a speech in the film Network, where Ned Beatty delivers the speech to Peter Finch. Again, the reason why this is a memorable moment is the incredible tension in which it is delivered. And the difference between what we just saw, which is the homage in Better Call Saul, the first episode of Better Call Saul, there is no introduction there. And I would say a lot of the audience would probably have had the same response as Kim Wexler, thinking, has this guy gone nuts? Because if you haven't seen Network, it doesn't really make sense. It comes unintroduced, more as a surprise. I'll show you where the quote comes from, and we'll just show you the beginning of the speech. But what's more important, I'll share with you the introduction, so the build-up of the tension. So we're being prepared for the dialogue to be delivered. And I think that's really important when you are about to deliver dialogue that is critical to your story. You want to first set the scene. You want to give it the proper foundation. And here is that clip from Network.
Who is it? I'm going to take you into our conference room. Seems more seemly a setting for what I have to say to you. I started as a salesman, Mr. Beale. I sold sewing machines and automobile parts, hairbrushes, and electronic equipment. They say I can sell anything. I'd like to try to sell something to you. Valhalla, Mr. Beale. Please sit down. have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it. Is that clear?
What follows is packed with exposition, and no audience would have swallowed that without this preparation, without first being in this character, sharing his insecurity and now his fear of what is to come. So they've got our attention, and we will be open to whatever is following. Now, did you pick up on the alliteration? More seemingly a setting for what I'm saying. That was clearly against Robert McKee's advice. Maybe intentional, maybe accidental, who knows. Alliteration is not the figure of speech to go for, but there are tons of other figures of speech that are more effective without drawing as much attention to them. And here's another great example of a very effective figure of speech called the epistrophe.
Them clothes got laundry numbers on them. You remember your number and always wear the ones that has your number. Any man forgets his number, spends the night in the box. These here spoons you keep with you. Any man loses his spoon, spends the night in the box. There's no playing grab ass or fighting in the building. You got a grudge against another man, you fight him Saturday afternoon. Any man playing grab ass or fighting in the building spends the night in the box. First bell is at 5 minutes of 8, when you will get in your bunk. Last bell is at 8. Any man not in his bunk at 8 spends the night in the box. There's no smoking in the prone position in bed. To smoke, you must have both legs over the side of your bunk. Any man caught smoking in the prone position in bed spends the night in the box.
Roll call at dusk and dawn. Any prisoner misses roll call spends the night in the box. Prisoners do not speak unless spoken to. Any prisoner talks back spends the night
in the box. We get it.
Another homage, another quote, this time Toy Story 3, quoting from Cool Hand Luke.